Take 4. Hi, my name is Garrett. Welcome to Building Yourself with Garrett. While I teach you how to do internal work, while I do external work. Today, I'll be doing a drone scan on site 2996. Very simple, actually. Let me show you how. We take our trusty drone, we power it on. We grab our satellite tracker right here. Grab our controller. And then finally upload the pre-programmed script about where to fly. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a radio tower right there. I'm going to try not to hit. With any luck, I'll be flying above it. All right, we have a new plan, V4, which is higher than I did previously. Should not crash. That's the aim. Just like life. And we'll see if this works. Oh, forgot to change RTK settings. RTK. You know, a lot of trial and error in life. You gotta figure out what works and what doesn't. Sometimes it throws an error code. So we need to pay attention. Connection successful. And now let's upload the plan. Go, my little buddy. Let's see what you can do. Rise! Now, while it's doing its thing, I figured I'd have a little chat with everybody. So I don't really know what I'm going to say yet, but living authentically, it seems like you don't really need to plan everything out, which has been a delight to kind of learn who I was by just being. A lot of my old way of thinking was, really hope that doesn't hit anything. It is heading that direction. It always pays not to be completely stupid. Okay. Well, okay. I think we're at 100 meters. I doubt that thing's that high, right? You're gonna be okay. Anyways. My old strategy in life was to think about what everybody else thought, what everybody else could think. And that usually informed me about how I would behave and think. And in often cases, this led me to live in a sort of past where I was constantly receiving what everybody else would say, internalize it, and then think about, what would be best to say as a means to avoid conflict. And instead of me being authentic, I was struggling to maintain a different persona, mask, whatever you may call it. And it led to a lot of stressors in my life. Honestly, I was drinking a lot because of this aspect of behavior that I had adopted from a very young age. And it led to eventually my hospitalization, I attribute it to. I mean, honestly, if I had learned to become more authentic at a younger age, I probably wouldn't feel the need to drink as much. The drinking wasn't the disease. I used it merely as a way to calm my own nerves and anxiety. And it seems strange to think that now I don't drink at all. But before, I couldn't sit down at a table and have a polite conversation with, a friend without thinking, you know, so many different ways about what was going on in their head. When I finally learned to just be, life has just become so much easier and so much more beautiful, because I'm no longer thinking about what's going on in the past. I actually open up my heart to what it wants to express, and often through this I learn more about who I am, which has been a beautiful journey that's constantly evolving. All this kind of started previously during my hospitalization a couple years ago, and it's really kind of like taking hold now. So I do feel like it's worthwhile to share this for anybody that is having a hard time, maybe not seeing any route through. There's definitely more to come in building with Garrett, but I figured I'd share this point. There's this one other thing I've realized, I think, that's true about life, and that is that I mentioned it in a recent post, but that is that everything happens for a reason. I was confused about this for quite a while, and can you not? Well, some things can persist longer than you'd like. Anyways, I guess I could go into that. What persists can control you, and what you give your focus to will often, stay around until you just learn to ignore it. Get it off. And focus on something that is more aligned with what you want to believe and experience. I'm of the mindset that reality is a little bit more flexible than probably most would believe, or understand. And what I mean by this is that it's our emotions that really kind of dictate the experience of our lives. And I don't mean emotions as in just the reactive feelings that you get from maybe watching the news or having something bad happen to you, or maybe something good happen to you. But I mean that this is the mode in which you can communicate your hopes, dreams, desires, aspirations to the greater whole of existence. So, I guess my biggest tip for today is to watch where you put your focus, your thoughts. Because, like this fly here, if I gravitate towards it, especially with an idea of fear or concern, or wanting it to stop, those pressures actually reverberate out and in an ironic way kind of make it more solidified in your experience. So instead of me focusing on this fly, for example, I can say shift my focus to the drone that isn't going to crash into the antenna, or just this beautiful nature, this wonderful day. And if you change your focus to something more aligned with that, I find that you will end up seeing more of the beauty in your life as you ascribe it. Hey, if you don't want to listen to me, take anything I say to heart, that's fine. But I think it's worth an experiment, just give it 2 weeks. To pay attention about where you're focusing. Am I watching the news? I get it. There's a lot of reasons why people think that it's necessary to focus on the host of horrific atrocities that are occurring right now. Whether it's a sense of that it gives you some control, you feel more in control of the situation because, I recognize a threat. It's better to be wary of your enemy and what they might do to you. But trust me, that ain't going to change the situation. It's actually going to bring it closer to your reality. And in the context of war, I mean, the closer you become aligned with that, the closer it gets to your doorstep. And so for your sake, just don't go there. So yeah, give it 2 weeks. Just be careful about where you put your focus, and you might find that overall things get a lot more interesting. This has been Building with Garrett, where you work on your internal world as I work on the external. See you next time.